There was a time when Brentford beating Manchester United would be a big shock. That time is not today. Hello, everyone. Mark Donaldson alongside Stevie Nicol. Brentford 3, Manchester United 1. The cherry on the icing that was already on top of a rather tasty Brentford cake was delivered in stoppage time, but plenty to get through with everything that happened before that. Stevie Nicol, Manchester United losing at Brentford. It's happened 3 of the last 4 years. They've also now conceded 11 goals. Why do they struggle so much? And why did Brentford find playing Man United at home so easy right now?
Well, Brentford make it a fast-paced, physical game if they can. They try and make it about second balls. They try and put you under pressure. And Manchester United, for the last 2 or 3 seasons, possession-wise, just haven't been at it. And of course, when you're not under control of the ball, then it makes it easier for teams like Brentford, who, as I said, like to fight for second balls. And they just harried United, put them under pressure. United couldn't cope with that pressure. And 20 odd minutes in, they were 2-0 down. Could have been more. Bayindir made some couple of great saves in that first half, and somehow by half time United had gotten a goal from Šeško from absolutely nothing, and the strangest thing about the goal was there wasn't a person celebrating, including Šeško. He just sort of turned round and ran back to the halfway line. It was almost like, it was just strange. It was almost like they were thinking, how did we manage to score, because it came from nothing. So, yeah, this is not a surprise. It was just scruffy for Manchester United. Listen, they were unlucky. The penalty kick they got was actually the one good move they had in the game. And Bruno Fernandes didn't finish it off. That would have changed things. It probably, in my opinion, would have finished at least even. And probably Collins should have been sent off. So, really going into the final part of the game, United should have had the control. They should have had numbers up, and they should have been the one pushing forward. Instead, no red card, doesn't score the penalty, and then Jensen finishes it off in stoppage time with a great strike, but a dodgy piece of goalkeeping. So, yet another bad day for Man United at Brentford.
And United fans won't want to hear the woulda, shoulda, coulda if he'd been sent off, if they'd scored the penalty. They lost again at Brentford. They're just another team in the Premier League, considering where they were under Sir Alex Ferguson. But that's like an eternity ago now. So this is what they are now. Is Ruben Amorim in the wrong movie?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't see how anybody could actually sit and think that somehow Amorim is going to turn this around. It really feels like he's dead man walking. There is all this talk about getting better and moving forward, and it's just propaganda. That's all it is. It's gobbledygook. There's absolutely nothing to see about any progress. They are at best as bad as they were last year. In truth, they're probably worse. So yeah, there's just another average Premier League side right now with the name of Man United. Certainly nothing like the Man United of old.
But one thing that hasn't changed is those people who are making the decision as to who the next manager should be. Why should United fans trust them?
Well, I'm not really sure that they can. There's absolutely nothing going on at Old Trafford, whether it's on the field or off the field, to suggest that things are getting better or are going to get better. So I'm afraid if you're a United fan, you can't really see any light at the end of the tunnel. There's no huge kitty to go and bail yourself out with, that's for sure. It's tough to look at anything at United and hang your hat on in terms of what's changed, what's going to change, and what's going to get better. Every single thing about Manchester United right now seems like it's going down the drain.
Look at the back three for Manchester United today. Yes, they've got a brand new front three. They've got Cunha coming in. They've got Mbeumo coming in. They've got Šeško, who's now often running with his first Premier League goal. At the back, they've got De Ligt, they've got Luke Shaw, and they've got Harry Maguire. To the opening goal in the 8th minute. Stevie, as an international defender yourself back in the day, why is the high line as high as it is when you know you've got someone like Jordan Henderson in opposition that can pick a pass? What is he doing, Maguire? He's kind of putting a step forward to take a step back and then realizing I've made a mess of this. What is it about United defensively right now that just has to be ripped up and start all over again?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, Harry Maguire shouldn't have been on the field. You know, you're playing against a side whose front players, you know, Shadi and Thiago, have got blistering pace. So the one guy you have in your side at centre-back is Yoro, but he's on the bench. You know, De Ligt and Harry Maguire and Shaw aren't catching anybody with genuine pace. And so when you play a high line and then you play a centre-back in Harry Maguire who isn't going to be able to catch anybody who's behind him, and then he has to gamble because he hasn't concentrated. Because if he'd been concentrated, he wouldn't have had to play offside. He could just have held his run on the halfway line, and Thiago would have been offside anyway. So, you know, the manager's picked the wrong side. The manager's picked the wrong centre back for this particular game, considering the pace that Brentford have. And the man he did pick makes a horrible decision.
It's too easy for the opposition to get in behind Manchester United. With this 3, if you know you're in opposition to a manager that says, I ain't changing for no one, not even the Pope, and that's his quote, you know how you can get in behind, whether it's Dalot pushed too far forward or whether it's De Ligt not in position. That's how the second goal came about. Down the right-hand side, in behind, goalkeeper doesn't touch it, ball doesn't end up in the back of the net, but the keeper doesn't know what's around him. You're not blaming Bayern Deer, apart from the third goal, for the concession of the opening 2. But again, as a defender who played fullback, you've played centre-back as well, who's responsible for not picking up the driven cross that leads to Igor Thiago getting the second goal?
Well, the problem is where you started. You know, as soon as you get in behind Manchester United, they're at 6s and 7s. Mm-hmm. You know, is it the wing back's fault that he's not deep enough? Is it one of the 3 centre backs who shouldn't have been caught in a high line and who don't get back? I mean, once Brentford get in behind United like they did on so many occasions, I mean, they lost 3 today. It could have been 5. You know, yeah. Bayern Deer has made 2 brilliant saves in the first half and another one in the second half. I mean, we could be looking at 5 or 6 here. So, you know, the fact of the matter is, again, we're kind of back to what we normally talk about United. The personnel they have on the field of play aren't good enough. You know, we're not talking about situations where players are that good that they've just made a bad decision. This is a team and a defence that week in, week out, game in, game out, home or away, makes bad decisions. And I'm afraid players that aren't good enough make bad decisions. So this is not. I don't believe this is fixable. You know, the kind of way I thought your question was, can you fix this, or what? You know, how do you solve the problem? The only way United will solve the problem is by changing the personnel. And then right now we're talking about the back line, but there are changes in personnel they need all around the field. But in terms of the back line, yeah, not good enough. Need fresh faces. Need more quality. Unfortunately, there's not a window till January, and I don't believe there's too much money in the kitty. So there's not a lot of light again at the end of the tunnel for United fans.
And one of the problems they've got is the players are on such big wages that unless they're prepared to take a massive hit, no one else is going to be interested in them at the price they'll need to pay for a weekly wage or a transfer fee. Because we talk about Amorim, we talk about those that are charged with finding a replacement if they decide that Amorim isn't the right job. But whoever comes in could be the best manager in the world. You've still got Shaw, Maguire, De Ligt, Yoro, Mazraoui, Dalot, these types of players. And yeah, you can go out and buy the likes of Šeško and Mbeumo and Cunha, But was it not Brian Clough that decided he was going to sign Peter Shilton back in the day? Because if we don't concede a goal, we only need to score one. Man United right now are having to score 3 or 4 goals just to be in with a shout. So it's the same team and the same players. That suggests that not only is this not a quick fix, this could take a heck of a long time to turn around, Stevie.
I think there's absolutely no doubt that this is going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of windows, and it's going to take a lot of money. You know, we're not talking about 2 or 3 changes that are needed. We're talking about an overhaul, and again, you've just got to look at this last transfer window. You know, you find yourself in a position that you're in, and you know you need quality, and you have a goalkeeper in Donnarumma who's available. You do every single thing you can to get that player, and that sends a message not just to the teams around you, but it sends a message to the players as well that you have, that you want to get better, and your eyes are on climbing up the league just to get going. Instead, you don't get Donnarumma and you bring in a young goalkeeper who you say is for the future, when right now you need to take care of what's happening on the field. You can't afford to be looking after the future right now. You have to sort out what's going on. And they bring in a young guy, Lemons, who isn't ready, which means you're playing, quite frankly, Bayindia is not good enough for the Premier League. I thought he should have done better with his second goal. He absolutely should have done better with the third goal. Yes, he made a couple of good saves, but, you know, I mean, he just in the 90 minutes, he's up and down. In the 90 minutes, he's gone from making 2 brilliant saves to a couple of howlers, in my opinion. I mean, that's just not what you want for your goalkeeper. But guess what? Don't bother trying to get somebody like Donnarumma, because why? I've no idea. Yeah, again, no idea who's making the decisions and why. And I guess that would be the biggest question. Why? Why don't you try and sign Donnarumma? Why do you sign Lemons? It makes no sense.
Put yourself in Donnarumma's position. Why would you go to Manchester United? They're not what they were. There's no European football. They're not as attractive anymore, are they?
Well, no. I mean, the point really is United should be trying to get a Donnarumma. And I think they pretty much said, "Nah, we're not doing that. We're going to go for Lemons." I mean, would they have got him? Probably not. If you're Donnarumma, why would you go to United, as I said? But then again, some players like money, you know. Then again, some players who have already got championship medals and league medals, and, you know, they might just want the name of Manchester United on their badge. I mean, there are many reasons why players will and won't sign for certain clubs. But the fact is, Man United didn't try hard enough for Donnarumma. And it seems that right now they're not trying hard enough, regardless of on or off the field.
Back to the game, 26th minute. It's 2-1. It's game on. And from a neutral perspective, it's good to see Šeško off and running. He's not someone that'll hide. He'll always try and show. It was at the third time of asking. It was the header that was saved, the shot that was blocked, and then a good follow-up. So that's the goal. What kind of response did you see from Manchester United following that goal?
Well, I think up until the goal, they had been second best. I think between the goal and, you know, probably the penalty kick, they were still a little scrappy, but at least they had sort of quelled the fire that Brentford had going in the first half. And then clearly the penalty kicks, the penalty kick completely, in my opinion, changes the game. I think if the right decision was made, as I've said, I think Collins absolutely gives a penalty away, number one. Number two, there's no question for me, Collins should have had a red card. I mean, Mbomo's setting himself to finish the cross first time, and Collins makes no attempt for the ball whatsoever. All he does is pull Mbomo back by the shoulder. To me, clear goal scoring opportunity that has been denied, and that's a red card. And so that should have been the first thing that happened. And the second thing is Bruno Fernandes should have scored. But Kelleher has saved quite a few penalties in his time at Liverpool, and he's not easy to beat. It wasn't the greatest of penalties. It did probably lacked a little bit of pace, which is why Kelleher could get down and make the save. But I think that just that little passage of play is where you kind of went, there's nothing in it for United today.
Sometimes it's a missed penalty, sometimes it's a brilliant save, sometimes it can be a bit of both. A lot depends on the colour of your scarf and how you see it. It is a really good save, and I'm glad you brought up Kelleher's record. He's saved 4 of 7. This is excluding penalty shootouts when he's been at Liverpool and Brentford. So credit to him, but let's rewind a little bit, your discussion about Nathan Collins. So after every VAR intervention that takes place in the Premier League Match Centre sends out a tweet explaining why a certain decision was given. Now, they don't ask for replies. They block replies from taking place. So it's basically, here's what's happened, end of story. Exactly. Imagine that vitriol that's below that. So here's the full screen of the tweet that was sent out, why Nathan Collins was not sent off. The call was checked and confirmed, right? That's fine. So Collins is deemed to have pulled him back. There's your confirmation. VAR also checks the referee's call of a yellow card to Collins. They deemed that Mbeumo wasn't in control of the ball. Now, when your jersey is tugged, it's pretty difficult to have control of anything. He's been put off. They've confirmed it was a foul. They've confirmed the penalty was the right decision. That, to me, Stevie, is baffling.
That's about the nicest word I can think of to describe it. How is a centre forward? How is any forward who's going to attempt to make a first-time finish from a cross coming across the 6-yard box? How can they possibly at any stage be in control of the ball when they're pulled down before it gets there and it's only going to be one touch? So
it makes no sense.
I'll stick with baffling. I can think of a couple of other ones, but baffling will do. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there'd be another word prior to baffling that we could insert, but it would be the last thing that we ever did while working for Disney. It's one of these. I know they say they've set this high bar and they don't want to kind of interfere too much and change a referee's decision. But everything you look at, everybody you've spoken to this morning, and you've seen have an opinion on this is like, why isn't that a red card? For me, it's a mistake by the referee who doesn't give the penalty originally. He looks across and then he has to be persuaded, by the way, yeah, there was a tug, but it has to be a red card. Now, look, Bruno Fernandes misses the penalty. That's probably not going to change whether or not there's 11 or 10 men in opposition. What does change is for 14 minutes plus the 8 added time. There's 22 minutes that Manchester United have got a chance against 10 men to not screw up and to try and get an equalising goal. So for me, it changes the game totally after that. And then, look, Matthias Jensen comes on, in stoppage time for Igor Thiago. It's a decent enough hit, but what's the goalkeeper up to?
Well, as I said earlier, when you're not good enough, then shots like that will beat you. I mean, I don't think there's any, we can't sit here and go, oh, the ball was moving from left to right and it was coming up and down and he was unsighted. And I mean, it's been hit from 25 yards. So he's absolutely got plenty of time to watch it, see the strike, and then react accordingly. And he doesn't. And for some reason, he can't get his arms up. I mean, I don't profess to be a goalie coach, but where's his hands? Again, when you're not good enough, these things happen, and that's why the ball ends up in the back of the net. Because, as I said, as much as Bindy did make a couple of good saves during the game, I mean, the last one in particular, he should be saving that. It's right in the middle of the goal. It's pretty much gone through him, and he hasn't been able to get his hands up in time. Go figure.
understandably, 90% of this has been about Manchester United. But as always, when we do something like this, the team that won, if it's a team beating a big side, it's usually, oh, it's crisis at the big side. Let's give Brentford some credit and end this, because Keith Andrews has come in. A lot of people are saying, well, that's an interesting appointment. They've lost Tony a couple of years ago to Saudi Arabia. They've lost Vissa, who's gone. He's gone to Newcastle. They've lost Brian Mbeumo, who went to Manchester United. Yet they keep producing. What is it about them and what they are doing that they're finding a way to be successful when teams much bigger than them are having an absolute nightmare, just like Manchester United?
Well, they keep things simple, and everything is done the same way, regardless of the players or the coach. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell, and it doesn't get any simpler, and they've shown that it can work. The profile of player they use through a database is why they can keep surviving and keep doing what they always do. I mean, you know, the way this team plays under Keith Andrews is no different than what it was under Thomas Frank. You know, they'll put balls in behind when they can. They'll close you down. They'll harry you. They'll challenge you. They got some big guys who will give you problems in the air. They take long throw-ins. They're set pieces. They're dangerous. I mean, these are all things that you associate with Brentford, and we have done since they got in the Premier League. So yeah, it really is about keeping things simple. They have a model, and they follow it. And regardless of the manager, regardless of the name on the back of the jersey, that's what they do. They do things the Brentford way. And that's why they've been in the Premier League for as long as they have. And there's no reason to think that that's going to change anytime soon.
Once again, Brentford supporters, for the third time in 4 home games against Manchester United, not only get to celebrate a win, but to celebrate goals aplenty as well. After 2 4-goal salvos, it's a 3-goal salvo that they get to enjoy. For Manchester United, well, now, next week it's Sunderland at home before a trip to Anfield. And I was looking, Stevie, 2014, Seb Larsson scored the winner for Sunderland at Old Trafford. They don't win there very often. They've just come up through the playoffs from the Championship. They'll be licking their chops about going to Old Trafford next weekend, will they not?
Well, they will. Let's be honest. It doesn't matter who Manchester United play, regardless of what league they're in or what position they're in the league that they're in. You fancy your chances. They give opportunities. United don't score a huge amount of goals. Just go and ask Grimsby. That's all you got to do.
The fear factor is gone from Manchester United. For Brentford, on they go. A big 3 points and a victory over Manchester United. Bye for now.